The vast white Nexus Hall stood silent except for the steady hum of environmental systems. Ambassador Lisa Campbell gazed out at the 847 delegation seats, most empty at this hour. The cold white light gave the chamber an artificial sterility that had always made her uncomfortable. 5 years of negotiations, proposals, and rejections had taught her that the Galactic Council was not built for newcomers like humanity. Lisa adjusted her formal attire, a modest blue suit that deliberately avoided ostentation. At 38, she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who had risen from being an Earth-based biologist to humanity's primary voice in galactic politics. Today marked what felt like the 100th attempt to expand humanity's food export permissions and agricultural technology rights. Another day of begging for scraps, Jake Morrison muttered beside her, his military posture never quite relaxing, even in diplomatic settings. As humanity's military observer, the former Earth Navy officer reported directly to Vice Admiral Karen Adams back on Earth. His constant vigilance had become tinged with cynicism after witnessing so many rejections. "We're not begging today," Lisa replied, reviewing her presentation one final time. "We're presenting irrefutable evidence. The Galactic Food Assessment Report shows our agricultural yield is 5 times more efficient than Meraxian techniques." Jake's expression remained skeptical. "And you think that will convince them? The Meraxians have controlled the Council's agricultural policy for 7 centuries. Their conversation halted as delegates began filing into the chamber. The insectoid Zorakians entered first, their chitinous bodies gleaming under the lights. The lizard-like Meraxians followed, 6 armed delegates gesturing in animated conversation. Representatives from hundreds of other species filled in around them, some humanoid, others defying any Earth-based classification system. Secretary General Vexhall, a towering Zorakian with iridescent wing casings, took his position at the central podium. His compound eyes surveyed the gathering with what Lisa had learned to interpret as impatience. "The Council recognizes Earth's delegation," Vexhall announced, mandibles clicking. "Ambassador Campbell, you may present your proposal regarding agricultural technology exports." Lisa stepped forward, activating the holographic display. Detailed agricultural statistics materialized above the central floor. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," she began. "For 5 years, humanity has operated under restrictive export quotas and technological limitations. Today, I present comprehensive evidence that Earth's agricultural methods not only meet, but exceed all safety protocols established by this body." The data rotated above her: crop yields, ecological impact assessments, sustainability metrics, all showing remarkable efficiency compared to current galactic standards. "As you can see, our hydroponic systems produce 5 times the yield of traditional Meraxian farming with 40% less resource consumption. We request the Council reconsider the classification of our methods as unverified agricultural technology and approve our full export proposal." A Meraxian senator rose immediately, his scaled face contorted in what Lisa recognized as contempt. "These methods may show impressive numbers," he hissed, "but they fundamentally disrupt established biospheres. The Council has maintained galactic ecological balance for millennia. Human techniques are simply too aggressive, too destructive to be unleashed without centuries of verification." Before Lisa could counter, Vexhall intervened. "The Council appreciates humanity's enthusiasm, but we must maintain our principles. Verification periods exist for a reason. Perhaps in another century, when humans have matured as a species, we can reconsider." "A century?" Lisa struggled to maintain diplomatic composure. "Secretary General, humanity joined this council as equals. We've complied with every regulation, submitted to every inspection. Our people are suffering under these restrictions, while we could be helping feed billions across multiple systems." "The Council's decision is final," Vexhall stated flatly. Humanity would do well to exercise patience. All things come to those who wait and survive. The dismissive tone wasn't lost on Lisa. As the session concluded and delegates dispersed, she remained motionless, staring at her rejected data still hovering above the chamber floor. Jake approached, his expression grim. They never intended to approve it, did they? No, Lisa said quietly. This was theater. They're protecting established interests. They walked silently through the dimly lit corridor, leading away from the white nexus. When they reached a section absent of recording devices, Lisa stopped abruptly. It's worse than we thought, she whispered. Earth intelligence finally decrypted communications between Meraxian and Zorakian leadership. They're not just blocking our trade. They're planning to eliminate human agricultural capacity entirely if we keep pushing back. Jake's posture stiffened. Are you certain? Completely. They see us as a fundamental threat to their economic control. Lisa's expression hardened. We've been trying to join a club that wants us extinct. Jake. What's our next move? Lisa took a deep breath. We've exhausted diplomatic options. It's time for self-reliance. She activated her secure communication device, sending an encrypted message to Vice Admiral Adams. We cannot cooperate with an organization secretly seeking our destruction. Initiate exodus. Jake's internal conflict was visible on his face. A career military man, he had always followed orders and protocols. Now he faced a choice between loyalty to the galactic system and the survival of his species. I need to know where you stand, Lisa said softly. What I just told you could be considered treason against the Council. After a long moment, Jake nodded. I stand with humanity. Ambassador. Always have. Back on Earth. Vice Admiral Karen Adams reviewed the message in her secure command center beneath the Atlantic. The National Security Council had anticipated this outcome and prepared accordingly. Project Exodus had been developed in absolute secrecy for 3 years. A contingency plan should galactic diplomacy fail. Begin Phase 1, she ordered, activating the global secure network. Throughout Earth's territories and orbital stations, civilian transport ships with names like Freighter's Hope, Nova Aurora, and Titan's Mercy began final preparations. Each vessel carried agricultural specialists, ecological engineers, and families volunteering for the uncertain journey ahead. Maintain complete communications, silence once departed. Adams instructed the fleet commanders. Rendezvous at the predetermined coordinates in the Kepler 442 and Vega systems. The exodus began, not with a public declaration, but with a whisper. Ships departing under the guise of routine commerce, gradually disappearing from official tracking systems. In the Kepler 442 system, the Freeman Planetary Discovery Base emerged beneath the cover of the West Becker dust cloud. Human engineers worked alongside the aquatic Nereid species, beings who had been dismissed by the Council as primitive, despite their remarkable understanding of rare material extraction. Your resonance drilling method has doubled our efficiency, Chief Engineer Sophia Chen told her Nereid counterpart, a glistening blue entity whose translucent appendages manipulated the excavation equipment with surprising dexterity. Our people have mined ocean floors for millennia, the Nereid replied through a translation device. The Council deemed our techniques unsuitable for modern application. Yet, here we are. Similar collaborations flourished throughout hidden corners of the galaxy. At Vega 173 Research Station, the hive-minded Chithari shared their biological computing technology, enabling unprecedented energy production efficiency. On the semi-frozen planet Gaianora, humans partnered with the plant-like Verdanians, combining techniques to increase agricultural yield by 200%. These weren't just survival outposts, but the beginnings of something revolutionary, a network of civilizations operating outside Council oversight, exchanging knowledge freely rather than through the Council's restrictive protocols. Colonel Danny Wright, stationed in the Vega system, oversaw the final tests of the bio-FTL drive with Dr. Amy Collins. Their work combined traditional propulsion physics with biological adaptation principles, gleaned from Chitauri evolutionary patterns. "Final simulation complete," Dr. Collins announced, her eyes fixed on the results. 60% faster than Council standard engines, with 40% less energy consumption. "Can we replicate it quickly enough?" Colonel Wright asked. "With the Chitauri's production assistance, we can outfit the entire fleet within 8 months." Meanwhile, Earth's chief engineer Carl Anderson and Admiral Susan Wright directed the Lighthouse Project, a quantum communications network that would allow instantaneous transmission across the Alliance, regardless of distance. The technology had been theoretically possible for decades, but Council regulations had classified it as potentially destabilizing to established communication hierarchies. Jake Morrison, having departed the White Nexus, received his new assignment, commanding the UHS Vanguard to test adaptive shielding technology developed from crystalline compounds mined in the Sigma Draunis system. The shields could reconfigure in microseconds to counter specific energy weapons, a significant advantage should conflict arise. As humanity and its new allies built their independent network, the Galactic Council finally noticed the change. An emergency session was convened, with Intelligence Director Zarak delivering a troubling report. Human economic activity within Council space has decreased by 82% over the past 6 months. The Corvin official stated, "Trade routes have been disrupted, and markets are destabilizing in sectors where human goods were commonplace." The Meraxian senator dismissed these concerns with a wave of his multiple limbs. "They're merely exploiting wilderness regions, depleting limited resources. When those are exhausted, they'll return begging for extended quotas." Trade Minister Vexhall appeared less certain. "There are whispers of military capabilities beyond what we've accounted for. Do we consider intervention?" "Against humans?" the Meraxian laughed. "Their technology is rudimentary at best." "Perhaps," Zarak cautioned, "but they may have found unexpected allies." This suspicion was confirmed when a Corvin intelligence vessel attempted to intercept Alliance communications near the Sigma Draunis system. The ship encountered a mixed patrol of Verdanian and Nereid vessels equipped with technology the Council had believed impossible for these lesser species to possess. The first direct confrontation occurred when a Corvin battleship squadron engaged Alliance vessels at the edge of the Sigma Draunis system. The Council forces expected an easy victory. Instead, they faced ships with reaction times and defensive capabilities that left them utterly outmatched. The Corvin fleet retreated with heavy damage and wounded pride. Jake Morrison witnessed this battle from the command deck of the Vanguard. Victory came at a cost. 3 Alliance crew members lost their lives when a Corvin weapon penetrated their shields. As he stood over the memorial service, doubt gnawed at him. Was he betraying his duty or fulfilling a higher one to humanity? Ambassador Lisa Campbell faced her own loss. Her deputy and close friend had been assassinated in what appeared to be an accident, but intelligence confirmed was a Council-sanctioned elimination. Standing at the funeral, Lisa's resolve hardened. "We tried to play by their rules," she told Jake afterward. "Now we make our own." The Alliance continued to grow in strength and numbers. Planets once deemed worthless by Council assessments flourished under combined technological approaches. The free exchange of ideas, unhindered by Council bureaucracy, accelerated development exponentially. On Concordia, formerly the barren rock designated Garden Zero, a thriving metropolis emerged in just 3 years. Its architecture blended styles from dozens of species, creating spaces where all could function comfortably. Markets teemed with goods, innovations, and cultural exchanges that would have been impossible under Council regulations. Within Council chambers, the panic grew palpable. Reports indicated over 60 formerly insignificant species had joined the human-led alliance. More alarming, several mid-tier Council members had begun quiet discussions about defection. The tipping point came with Operation Corvin Liberation, Admiral Jack Peterson led the Vanguard fleet in a lightning strike against the Corvin Naval Base on Constellis 6, a vital military installation, using phase-shifting weapons developed by Dr. Patricia Hughes. Alliance forces neutralized planetary defenses and forced the Corvin to commit their elite squadrons. Admiral Mortak of the Corvin responded by leading 47 battleships deep into what he believed was Alliance territory, announcing a routine patrol while intending to capture or destroy Alliance command vessels. Defensive positions. Jake Morrison ordered aboard the Vanguard as sensors detected the approaching fleet. Phasing squadron, prepare for dimensional shift. What followed shocked the Corvin command. Alliance ships seemed to materialize from nowhere, having manipulated spatial dimensions to bypass sensor arrays. Within minutes, Mortak's fleet found itself surrounded. "This is Admiral Peterson of the Harmony Alliance," came the transmission to Mortak's flagship. For 5 years, humanity was treated as beggars at the council table. Today, that era ends. Mortak watched in horror as multiple ships in his fleet suddenly changed course, breaking formation. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Your crews are making a choice," Peterson replied. "The Alliance offers full citizenship, equality, and shared prosperity, not the caste system the Council has maintained for centuries." Nearly half the Corvin fleet surrendered, requesting immediate integration into the Alliance. It wasn't just a military defeat, but a philosophical one. The Council's authority had been rejected by those sworn to uphold it. In the Council chambers, panic erupted as news of the defection spread. The Meraxian representative spoke bitterly about betrayal, but few paid attention. The once mighty Galactic Council was facing the reality that it had lost control of its own destiny. Jake Morrison received orders to pursue retreating Corvin vessels, but made his final choice. "I cannot fire on beings seeking only survival and dignity," he told Peterson. "The line between enemy and ally isn't about species anymore. It's about values." The consequences reverberated throughout known space. The Galactic Council, once comprising 847 species, found itself reduced to just 187 loyal members, mostly economic satellites dependent on the core worlds. Secretary General Vexhall, Trade Minister Thelix, and Intelligence Director Zarek argued furiously about the path forward. Should we negotiate peace and dissolve, or fight to the bitter end, became the central question. Meanwhile, the Alliance consolidated its position. The Concordia Conference brought together representatives from 63 newly recognized civilizations, establishing the principle that all members stand equal, valued by contribution and goodwill rather than historical power. Karen Adams announced the deployment of the Lightspeed Exchange, a transspatial communication system enabling instantaneous contact between Alliance headquarters and every settlement across 120 star systems. 3 months later, the Galactic Council convened an extraordinary session. The Meraxian senator, desperate to preserve the past, proposed declaring total war, but received support from only 27 of the remaining 187 members. Trade Minister Vexhall submitted his resignation, calling for the Council's dissolution to prevent further conflict. The motion passed with a narrow majority. The official announcement came 1 week later. After millennia of dominance, the Galactic Council would dissolve, recommending its member civilizations consider joining the Harmony Alliance. The farewell ceremony in the White Nexus was sparsely attended. Vexhall removed the ancient seal of authority from the central podium amid a mixture of applause and condemnation from the few extremist members. As the Alliance expanded, even former Foundation worlds like Zorik Prime and Meraxian Delta applied for membership. Within a year, the Alliance encompassed over 2,000 civilizations, creating prosperity through cooperation rather than control. The Democracy Museum on Concordia displayed the flag of 847 species, alongside the Letter of Equality Commitment, testaments to a past now transcended. Lisa Campbell became the first chairperson of the Alliance Embassy, guiding the cultural and ecological integration between humans and new civilizations. Jake Morrison was appointed commander of the Space Defense Force, protecting the new trade routes that connected formerly isolated worlds. The first Peace Congress of the Alliance convened on New Geneva, where representatives from thousands of species planted the Unity Tree in Galactic Square, symbol of a new era of peace, cooperation, and unlimited creation. A small plaque beneath the tree carried an inscription: "The journey of discovery has only begun." Behind each star waits a civilization ready to welcome the Alliance. Years passed, and the prosperity of the Alliance grew. The free exchange of ideas and resources created an unprecedented age of advancement. Worlds once deemed uninhabitable flourished with combined technologies, while scientific breakthroughs occurred at extraordinary rates. Lisa Campbell stood on the observation deck of the Alliance Embassy, watching ships from hundreds of worlds dock at Concordia's massive spaceport. Jake Morrison joined her, now wearing the formal uniform of the Defense Force Command. "Did you ever imagine this when we left the Council?" he asked. Lisa smiled, remembering the uncertainty of those early days. "I hoped for survival. This is beyond anything I dreamed possible." Below them, representatives from the former Meraxian Empire were signing treaties with once subjugated species, establishing mutual aid agreements that would have been unthinkable under Council rule. "The latest report from Exploration Division," Jake said, handing her a data tablet. "We've made contact with 37 previously unknown civilizations in the past year alone. All have expressed interest in joining the Alliance." "And the former Council core worlds?" "The last holdouts, including Vexhal's home planet, submitted membership applications yesterday." Jake smiled. "They've agreed to all equality provisions without reservation." Lisa nodded, satisfied. "Not conquest, but conviction. That's always been our strength." As night fell over Concordia, the Unity Tree in Galactic Square illuminated, its bioluminescent leaves glowing in 1,000 colors, each representing a member world. Citizens of countless species gathered beneath its branches, sharing stories, ideas, and hopes for the future. In a quiet moment, away from the celebrations, Lisa found herself back in the Alliance Council chamber, a circular room where representatives met as equals, without hierarchy or privilege. Unlike the cold white nexus, this space was warm, alive with plants from 100 worlds. She activated the communication system, connecting with Karen Adams on Earth. "The 5-year assessment is complete," Lisa reported. "Economic growth across the Alliance has increased by 300%. Poverty has decreased by 60% on formerly restricted worlds." "And the military situation?" Adams asked. "Defense Force reports no significant threats. The last militant faction surrendered 2 months ago." Lisa paused. "We've begun converting warships to exploration vessels." Adams nodded approvingly. "So the day humans withdrew from the Galactic Council was the day the universe began anew," Lisa finished, not through dominance, but through partnership. As she ended the transmission, Lisa looked out at the stars visible through the Council chamber's transparent dome. Each point of light represented not just a sun, but potential new allies, new ideas, new futures. The day humans withdrew from the Galactic Council was indeed the day the universe changed forever, the day ancient barriers fell, and the true potential of cooperation was unleashed across the stars. On Gaia Nora, the agricultural world where humans and Verdanians had first collaborated, a monument stood in the central plaza. It depicted figures from dozens of species working together, surrounded by abundant crops and thriving ecosystems. The inscription read simply, "Together we grow, we." Admiral Mortok, the once proud Corvin commander who had surrendered to the Alliance, now served as an integration coordinator, helping former Council military personnel transition to peaceful roles. His experience of choosing dignity over blind loyalty had made him unexpectedly effective at helping others make similar transitions. The old order taught us that power came from control. He told a group of former Council officers, "The Alliance has proven that true power comes from collaboration." The Chitauri Hive Mind Collective had expanded their biological computing research, working alongside human scientists to develop systems that could predict ecological changes and prevent disasters before they occurred. Their combined technology saved billions of lives when it predicted and mitigated a stellar flare that would have devastated 3 heavily populated systems. Dr. Amy Collins, whose work on the Bio-FTL drive had helped make the Alliance possible, led a new initiative exploring dimensional physics. Her team, comprising scientists from 27 species, theorized methods of travel that would reduce interstellar journey times from days to minutes. The Council would have restricted this research for millennia, she noted during a presentation. They feared what might happen when distance no longer divided us. Now we embrace that future. Even the Meraxians, once among humanity's fiercest opponents, found unexpected prosperity in the new order. Their agricultural techniques, when combined with human and Verdanian methods, created sustainable food production systems that thrived in environments previously thought hostile to life. The Meraxian who had once sneered at Lisa Campbell in council chambers now served as Agricultural Integration Director. "I was wrong," he admitted publicly during an Alliance anniversary celebration. "Our fear of change nearly cost us our future." Exploration vessels, carrying representatives from dozens of Alliance species, ventured beyond known space, discovering wonders that the Council had either ignored or concealed. Ancient artifacts, natural phenomena, and new civilizations expanded the collective knowledge exponentially. The UHS Discovery, commanded by Helen Torres, made perhaps the most significant finding: evidence of a precursor civilization that had seeded the galaxy with life billions of years ago, only to disappear mysteriously. This shared ancestry created a profound sense of connection among Alliance members. "We are not just allies of convenience," Torres addressed the Alliance Council after the discovery. "We are family, separated by time and evolution, but united by common origins." On the 5th anniversary of the Council's dissolution, a gathering was held in what had once been the White Nexus. The sterile chamber had been transformed. Living plants grew along the walls. Natural light streamed through newly installed windows, and the rigid seating hierarchy had been replaced by a circular arrangement where all sat as equals. Vexhull, the former Secretary General, had been invited as an observer. The Zorakian moved slowly now, age beginning to show in his dulled exoskeleton. "I did not expect to return here," he told Lisa as they stood in the chamber before the ceremony. "I certainly did not expect to see what you have built." "What we have built together," Lisa corrected gently. "Yes," Vexhull acknowledged. "My species governed for millennia, believing stability required control. You have proven otherwise in a mere 5 years." The ceremony began with representatives from all member worlds entering together. No precedence, no hierarchy, simply unity in diversity. Where once power had been jealously guarded, now it flowed freely between worlds, creating a resilience that no single authority could match. Jake Morrison, standing beside Admiral Jack Peterson, watched the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. "Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if the Council had simply approved that first agricultural proposal," he mused. "They couldn't," Peterson replied. "Their power depended on limitation. The moment they embraced abundance, the old order would have collapsed." As the ceremony concluded, a new map of Alliance territory illuminated the chamber, not as conquered space, but as a network of connections, each line representing cooperation rather than control. The map extended far beyond the boundaries of the former Council, incorporating regions once deemed worthless or dangerous. "Our next challenge lies there," Lisa said, pointing to unexplored regions at the galaxy's edge. "New civilizations, new ideas, new possibilities." "And new dangers," Jake added pragmatically. "Yes," Lisa agreed. "But we'll face them together, as equals, not as masters and servants." As attendees departed the ceremony, they passed through what had once been the Council's restricted archives, now transformed into a public library. It contained knowledge freely available to all Alliance citizens. Children from dozens of species studied together, sharing perspectives that created deeper understanding than any single viewpoint could provide. The final image, captured in recordings transmitted throughout Alliance space, showed the diverse gathering standing beneath the Unity tree on Concordia, its luminescent leaves casting multicolored light across faces of every conceivable form: scales, skin, chitin, photosynthetic tissue, all united not by force but by choice. The day humans withdrew from the Galactic Council was the day the universe learned that true strength comes not from domination, but from diversity. Not from control, but from cooperation. It was the day the stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, illuminating not an ending, but a beginning. The first chapter in a story written by many hands, toward a future limited only by imagination and shared purpose. And as exploration vessels ventured ever outward, each carrying the Alliance banner of unity in diversity, the message spread from world to world, system to system. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. Together, we grow.